prepared. I hope we know now. Well, I hope we learn from Melissa and learn that stocking up our houses with food and toiletries and so on is not preparing for a storm, or at least a Category 5. To properly prepare for a Category 5 storm, you can't prepare, well, you can prepare your house, but that is not proper preparation. If you leave out preparing yourself. And by preparing yourself, I mean you must have a go bag. And that bag must have certain essentials. You should have your documents that's sealed in a waterproof bag. It should have a portable power bank, one that is solar. It should have a first aid kit. It should have water enough to last you a few days. It should have food enough to last you a few days, at least a week. It should have an extra pair of change of clothes, change of underwear, and so on. It should have a sleeping bag, if possible. It should have a multi-tool kit. It should have something that can use to start a fire, right? And there are a number of other things that it should have. And that bag should be ready and packed, ready to go. Just in case we face a devastation like Melissa. And you should have a good shoes that can, good military kind of shoes, steel tip toe if possible. You know what I mean? And that should be ready on deck, because we learned from Melissa that you can't really protect your house, but if you protect yourself and prepare yourself, you can at least have enough supplies to keep you a few days until relief comes, which we know can take more than a few days, right? So I believe the government should have these educational information, promote these educational information, and as best as possible supply residents with whatever they can for free. You understand me? For free. For instance, a portable power bank, solar, something like that. You know what I mean? And if each individual, of course, not everybody perhaps will be able to do that, but if as many people do that, then it would be a little bit easier to recover and to sustain and to endure until relief comes. And the more people have these things, is the more we'll be able to help those who don't have. Because rest assured, if a storm like Melissa had passed through the entire island, we wouldn't be waiting weeks for our aid. Some of us would be waiting months. And so, a week of emergency, personal emergency supply, probably is not enough. And so what we're talking about, of course, is something that is apocalyptic, catastrophic. And but the reality is, that is what we face in these last days. And of course, from a Christian perspective, I believe these are apocalyptic signs, and based on what the Bible says, it will get worse. So rest assured, there will be other hurricanes, and they will be as bad as or even worse than Melissa. And if you want to survive and enjoy those things, you better be prepared, or else you'll just die. And I don't think you want that. Yeah, this should be public educational knowledge, promoting disaster preparedness, earthquake, hurricane preparedness. And every house, I believe, should have a hurricane-proof room. And by that I mean, even if you are poor, you can't make a full concrete structure, alright, decking and so on. Every house should have at least one room that is decked and that the floor is high, right? High enough for to avoid basic flooding, and firm enough to be able to withstand hurricane force winds. Every house. Just as in countries like America, where every house is required by a law to have a basement. I believe every house should have a hurricane room, right? In America, houses are required to have a basement, not for hurricane reasons, but for tornado reasons, for a nuclear weapon reason, and stuff like that. And here, I think we should have hurricane-proof rooms at least. So those are some things that I'll be implementing and teaching as I go forward for the new year in my churches and so on. You know, and I believe everybody should have these knowledge.